you how pitching in the MLB was much easier from 1980 to 2000 than it is now. We will use multiple data sets and articles to back up our claims.
So in this slide, we compare strikeouts from 1985 to 2004, and then the 2005 to 2020, and these are the top 10 pitchers in the MLB in that era based on WAR, which is we will use that a lot in this presentation. It's a stat that essentially tells you how valuable you are and how good you are. So these were the top 10 statistically best pitchers, and they had a lot more strikeouts, as you can see, than the top 10 pitchers of this era.
In this graph, you see a major spike in home runs in the new era of baseball, starting from 1871 going up through now. The line progressively grows and went through a few eras like the World War II era, steroid era, and new ball.
So the best hitters from 1985 to 2004, according to WAR again. As you can see, the top 7 hitters from 1985 to 2004 had lower batting averages than the top 7 hitters from 2005 to 2020. There are many reasons for that, which we will get into down the line. And then the complete games from 1985 to 2004, this is where you really see a change in the game and see how the game is turned more hitters friendly. From 1985 to 2004, these pitchers, as you can see, have a lot more complete games than the pitchers now. A complete game is when a starter finishes the game, so they start the game and finish the game through all 9. As you can see, like Nolan Ryan, for example, has 222, and Roy Halladay has 67. And that basically is just displaying that it was easier to get through a game.
In an article by the New York Times, they talk about why the home run rate spiked so much recently. In their studies, they say, welcome to baseball circa 2019, balls are flying and records are falling. Players are on pace to hit 6,618 home runs, 1,000 more than last season's 5,585, and 500 more than 2017's all-time high of 6,105. So, what's going on? Yes, the ball is different, as Jason Stark recently demonstrated. It's the ball. On Thursday, Commissioner Rob Manfred even issued a statement acknowledging that we do think it's a drag issue. Rob Arthur provided evidence of this as early as the first week in April, showing that this season's ball had significantly lower drag coefficient than that of 2018. MLB's ratings were down significantly in the mid-2010s. They tried to fix this by winding the strings and the balls tighter so it would be easier for hitters to hit bombs. In 2019, though, there was an extreme overload in home runs, leading to the MLB having to make a mid-season change. In an article by Chad Moeller, a well-respected baseball journalist, he says Mickey Mantle was simply in the 0.001%. He would have been great 100 years ago, and he would be great 100 years into the future. But in general, for the other 99.99% of us, we are better than we were 20 years ago. We have statistics on our side. Our training has improved, our knowledge of the game has improved, and we can effectively improve at a higher level. This quote shows how far the hitters have come. They've gotten faster, stronger, and smarter. It is much easier for hitters to develop and learn nowadays. Analytics are a big part of that. They're able to study pitches before facing them and know how much each of their pitches move down to the inch. This has led to more home runs and overall less outs.
So the number of walks from 1980 to 1999, as you can see, they were around 1,500 to 1,000 less walks per year than there are now. And this is for multiple reasons. The main reason is the strike zone. So the strike zone nowadays is a lot smaller than it was back then. This is due to umpires getting graded on how well they call a game behind the plate. So they have to be essentially perfect or try to be perfect, and they would rather miss or rather err on the side of calling a thrown ball a strike than the other way around. So that has led to a lot more walks now and a lot tighter strike zone now. And that is essentially just showing how it's turned to more of a hitter's friendly game. In this story, we're comparing shutouts per year the shutouts, a shutout is when you don't allow the other team to score. And as you can see, the rate has gone at a steady decline. So from 1980 to 1999, there were on average around 120 to 125 shutouts per year in a season. In 2000 to 2021, there's around 50. So that just shows that, again, the strike zones are smaller and the balls are easier to hit out of the park. So that put the shutout rate down.
Another thing to look at is the health of the pitchers now versus 40 years ago. The main reason so many pitchers are getting hurt and getting Tommy John surgery is because everyone is trying to throw and training to throw as hard as possible. This leads to horrible elbow issues. For example, MLB wrote an article saying in 2008 there were only 196 triple-digit heaters thrown over the course of a season. But for each of the last 4 years, we've seen over 1,000 pitches thrown over 100 miles per hour.
And as you can see in the chart, the fastball velocity is still at a steady increase. And this leads to surgeries. So yes, throwing the baseball harder makes it hard to hit, but at what cost? In an article written by Ted Spiker, an MLB journalist, he wrote, "Pitchers also throw harder today than they did half a century ago. The average velocity of pitches has increased about 4 miles per hour in the past 20 years, but pitchers who throw at higher velocities, particularly at speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour, are more likely to suffer this injury. If you do not throw 94 plus miles per hour, you won't make it to the MLB, but if you consistently throw 94 plus miles an hour, you will likely tear your UCL and require Tommy John surgery." So this also ties into complete games. There's data showing that the longer you pitch and the more you pitch and the more amount of pitches you throw in a day, exceeding 94 plus miles an hour will lead to injury. So nowadays starters are coming out in the 5th, 6th inning. But as you can see in this graph, that Tommy John surgeries from 1980 to 2004, there was on average about 15 surgeries a year, and now it's up to about 150. So the whole training velocity and throwing as hard as you can has led to many injuries and led to pitchers getting hurt more. And then here are our sources.